My name is Jeff Wilson. By day, I invest in tech companies, and at night, I invest in sports cards. Join me on my journey to profit from the hobby we all love. Hello, sports card investors, and welcome to the first episode of 2020. And what an episode I have for you today. How to get great deals on sports cards in unexpected ways. We've got some secrets of the hobby from a hobby veteran who's going to be sharing them with you today to tell you how you can get some great deals on sports cards. That's going to be coming up in just a minute, but first I want to give you a quick programming note. So as you probably saw in my last episode, I am gearing up for a lot of big stuff that's going to be happening in the next few weeks. I'm going to be rolling out with my membership program at the end of January. I'm also going to be rolling out with a digital tool, a website that is going to blow your mind. This thing is next level analytics about the sports card market. I'm getting all of this ready for a big rollout for you to use starting at the end of this month. But I need to go heads down and work on this for the next few weeks. I'm having to put in a lot of nights, a lot of weekends, a lot of time to get all of this ready, and we are in crunch time right now. So for the remainder of January, I'm just going to do one show a week. I'm going to do a show every Sunday. Every Sunday morning, I'm going to put it out just like I am right here, right now. So expect one show from me per week for the month of January. Do not worry. In February, I will be back to 2 shows a week plus additional shows and content for members of my new membership program, which I will be talking about in the next few weeks. And thank you to all of you out there who filled out the survey on my website to give me great information for what you would like to see included as part of my membership program and any ideas you have for making the show better. And I'm giving out this Lonzo Ball PSA 10 Gem Mint right here to one of the lucky people who took the survey. I will be giving this out tonight. So if you haven't taken the survey yet, you still have a few hours to do it. Go to sportscardinvestor.com and click on the survey link in the main menu bar. Okay, guys, so for today's show, I am bringing in a true hobby veteran, a true expert on the hobby, and you have seen him on the show before, Joe Davis of GotBaseballCards.com. And if there is anybody in the world that knows how to buy sports cards and get a good deal, that is Joe Davis, because he has bought millions and millions of sports cards over the course of his tenure. In fact, he currently has in his hobby shop, he currently has over 1 million sports cards in inventory, and you can find all of his sports cards on eBay and on Amazon, over 1 million of them. Also on his website, GotBaseballCards.com. So Joe knows a lot about how to get great deals when purchasing cards in unexpected ways. And that's what we're going to focus in on today's conversation. He's got some really good tips to share with you. Joe, by the way, is doing a card show. If you are going to be anywhere in the Atlanta area, you want to come to this because I'm going to be there. I'm going to be at the card show, broadcasting live on my YouTube and interviewing some people who are at the card show. So I would love for you to come out. If you're going to be anywhere in the Atlanta area, the card show is Saturday, February the 1st, the day before the Super Bowl. It is that morning. Mark your calendar, the morning of Saturday, February the 1st. It is the Logansville Sports Collectors Show. And if you want more information on that, simply follow GotBaseballCards.com on Facebook. And I will put the link to their Facebook in the show notes on both YouTube and the podcast. But mark your calendar for February the 1st, Saturday morning for that show. I also will mention that Joe has an excellent PSA grading service where he gets you better prices than what you can get through PSA for grading. And he also gets you quicker turnaround time than what you could get through PSA for grading. Go to his website, GotBaseballCards.com. Contact him through his website if you're interested in that service. I'm now going to bring in Joe for this great conversation, how to get great card deals in unexpected ways. Welcome, Joe Davis. Joe, welcome back to Sports Card Investor.
Great to be back, Jeff.
And we got a great topic today, a topic you suggested, untraditional ways to buy cards.
Yep.
And you've got a lot of experience with this, having been in the business now for 30 plus years.
Right.
So let's start. One of the things we were talking about was sets, and I thought you had an interesting take on that. Why don't we start there?
Sure. We're always, I spend $1 million, $2 million a year buying cards. So I always look for methods to effectively buy, whether that be at a show, whether it be on eBay, whether it be somebody walks in the store with something. And so one thing we have done that really contrary to those who are investing necessarily, because those who are investing often will buy up a certain player
right.
or a certain quantity of a certain card of a player. What we try to do is take a broader approach, especially with like rookie-based sets. Let's take, for instance, the recently released Prism Draft Picks, which was all rookies, of course, and 100-card set, multiple cards of Zion, multiple cards of Ja, multiple cards of some of the other top rookies. So when the product came out, a lot of people were buying up the Zion base card or the Ja base card. And so I started doing the math, and I was like, if you want to buy this handful of 4 or 5 key cards, you're going to be paying about $20, maybe a little more. You could buy the entire 100-card set for the same price. So I bought up a large quantity of the base sets to break them. Then I broke them down for grading and sent in a lot of the Zions and the Jaws. And we did the same thing a couple of years ago. Of course, we're here in Atlanta, so Ronald Acuna is always hot for us. And when the 2018 Topps Chrome update came out and people were buying up the boxes at Target, breaking them down or chasing the autographs and the big hits, then they were building the base sets and throwing them on eBay. So we were buying up quantities of the base sets and then breaking out the Soto cards and the Acuna cards for grading. Mm-hmm. And often we've seen that you can buy the entire set for the cost of just buying a handful of the key cards. And you're going to get all those other prospects as a throw-in to kind of put up for that rainy day when they get hot later down the road.
It's a really interesting way of doing it. And so you're finding these sets typically on eBay, or how are you finding them?
Usually at shows or like the National every year.
Okay.
I look for those kind of things. And of course on eBay. And we do have, we also buy back just bulk cards from customers, because like any shop owner, we have customers who break product chasing the big hits. They keep their biggest cards and then often sell back all the base rookies or and then the commons to us. So we love buying in bulk.
Yeah. Yeah, and I mean, it's an interesting way of thinking about it because, as a sports card investor, most of the time I'm buying a bunch of individual cards of a player, as are probably a lot of the audiences
Sure.
here as well. We're looking for a guy who we think is going to be the next hot guy, and we're going on eBay or we're going to a card show and we're seeking his cards out specifically. Mm-hmm. Oftentimes, when it comes to any type of economics, type of business, the person who thinks a little bit differently than what the mainstream is doing is the person who can end up getting better deals. And so what you're saying is, while the mainstream is thinking about, I'm going to buy this one guy's card, you're thinking about, actually, I'm going to buy a whole collection of cards, which might include that guy, but includes all these other people as well that people are ignoring that might provide some additional value in the future.
Right. I mean, just right now at the time of this recording, Prism basketball complete sets. I was looking last night. The Zions are about $45. Then you add in some of the other key rookies, you're up to $75, $80 pretty quickly. You can buy the entire set for under $100 with all 300 cards. And so, while if especially if you're a believer in 5 or 6 of the rookies this year and you're buying up 5 or 6 of them, why not chase buying the entire set? Because the next guy that comes out a year from now, you'll already have those cards of him.
Yeah, and that's an important point because you don't know right now who that next guy is going to be, who's going to come out. Like, for example, last year at this point in time, very few people were talking about Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. He was kind of, people were talking about Luka, people were talking about Trae Young. Right. Although even Trae Young, not as much, because early in the Hawks season last year, Trae Young hadn't really emerged. He wasn't playing very well.
He struggled,
Yeah, he played much better at the second half of the season. So even Trae Young kind of came around as the season went along. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, not particularly well known, early in the season last year. Yet you fast forward to this season, and he's really kind of emerged as a star, a very hot card to collect. Of course, Trae Young's prices have really gone up significantly. So, you don't know who that next guy's necessarily going to be, but if you buy the complete set of Prism, you're getting the big hits you want. You're getting the Zion, you're getting the Ja, but then you're also getting all those other guys who could potentially emerge as this season goes on or next season is underway.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the set buying is only a part of it. When you talk about buying on eBay, we'll continue to use the Prism example. We're at a time where a large number of collectors have hit their local Target or Walmart or card shop, and they've broken a lot of the product, and they've broken far more than they're ever going to process a card at a time online reselling. They may be grading their big cards or putting up their big cards, but they've probably got a large stack of parallels and silvers and color and other inserts, and so a lot of them are dumping those on eBay. And so we often, just this week, I bought a large lot of red, white, and blue parallels that included a lot of the key cards, and there was a throw-in of 80 other guys. And so there's a lot. I literally will go on eBay and just search like 1920 Prism lot, and maybe I'll stick in a certain guy's name, or not. Maybe I'll buy quantities of that guy. But in general, I'll search silver lot or red, white, and blue lot or pink, hyper, whatever it is. And there's often, especially on auction, a lot of times there's some good deals on those out there.
Yeah, really, really interesting approach of doing it. Let's talk about card shows. So we just talked about a couple of techniques, whether it's sets or lots, and some of that you would find through eBay. But what about when you actually go to the National this year, or you go to various regional card shows that take place?
Well, a lot of that is you've got to. There's as you know, the National is so large, you can only get to so many tables in so much time. So you have to quickly gauge the seller, and what I mean by that is there's plenty of sellers there. They put out. They have 5 showcases. This is what they've got. Every card's priced individually. That's it. Then you've got others who may have $1 boxes or $5 boxes, or some of it's not priced at all. They just have stuff out on their table, and so those are where those large quantity lot opportunities might be. Because I've bought out entire booths at the National. I've bought up quantities from people where I'll just say, how much for this whole box, or there's a lot of especially booths that will have $1 boxes or $5 boxes or quarter boxes or whatever. You can negotiate. Hey, if I take 1,000 cards, what can you do? If I take 500 cards, what my friend Rob at Burbank is the master of this, because we've done a lot of Nationals. I've seen him at many for a number of years, and I often see him at a booth, buying up quantities from that booth at XYZ price. And so there's always opportunities, but it does take time sometimes to build up those large lots.
Sure. Yeah. So basically, if you have the resources to buy in bulk, and sometimes, if you're talking about buying dollar cards in bulk or that type of thing, it's financially you may not even need a lot in terms of resources.
Right.
But if you have I guess you would say the patience to go around and find the really good opportunity to buy in bulk, and then the patience to sort through them, see what you have, and figure out the best mechanism to sell them. Obviously you do this full time, and you've got an amazing store here in Atlanta. By the way, Joe's store is over 10,000 square feet, right? Which is incredible. One of the largest hobby shops in the nation here just outside of Atlanta. So you've obviously got the storage space and the staff. What do you do when let's say you do that, you buy out a booth at the National, you've got now all of a sudden back with thousands of cards. Sure. How do you make your profit off of those cards?
Yeah, we have different processes in place we start from the top down. And what I mean by that is, I'll tell my coworkers, I'm like, all right, let's break this collection down. We'll start off with anything that might want to get graded, and we'll strip that off the top, send it off, because we know we're going to wait a little while to get it back and get that in process. Then we'll break things down, like, is this a fitting card for us to put on eBay? Is it expensive enough for us to take the time to scan it, list it, write it up? Unique autographs, jerseys, rookies, so forth. Then we also segment inventory for, is this a good fit for our COMC inventory? Because is it something that we don't really have a lot of? But it's also not really that expensive. For us, our sweet spot there is like $3 to $5 kind of stuff, where it's worth the 30-cent investment on the front end to put it there. But then we also have systems in place where if we have, like let's take the red, white, and blue Prisms, if there's a large quantity of the same insert type, then we will either scan those if they need to be scanned if we don't have stock images, and then we'll launch those to various portals such as eBay and Amazon and Beckett and different sites.
Right.
So every card has a place. You know, I mean, there's somewhere in our systems for every card to land.
Yeah.
But you know, we start from the top down. There's always quantities of insert boxes that we're trying to get to next. You know.
Yeah. So obviously, through your experience of doing a ton of selling, you've really optimized how different places for different cards to go, right? And not all marketplaces are equal, and that's something that's important for people to understand. You know, going and selling your cards on eBay is not the end-all be-all solution, nor is COMC, nor is StockX. Each of these marketplaces has its place, but it's for certain types of cards. They may be better choices than others.
Yeah, because you have to. You can. Too often, sellers can get tunnel vision, like, well, I just throw it all on eBay, you know, and that may not be the best place. And, you know, and I have customers who use COMC, and there's a place for things there, but there's also, we'll process a collection, go, oh, this could be a good fit there. And then we check, and there's 50 of them already sitting there. I'm like, why do we need to spend 30 cents to send this card there
to the 50? Right,
to be the 51st. Yeah. You know, so you have to find things that work for the portal.
Right. Yeah. Right. Very interesting. Very interesting. What about, so we talked a little bit about card shows. I know one thing that, you know, having a big store, you have the opportunity to do, people bring you sometimes big lots and give you, you know, or big, you know, really collections, like collections a lot of times. And I guess a lot of times this might be more vintage type stuff where they've had it in their garage or their attic for 30 years and are bringing it because they need to get rid of it or dump it and don't know what it's worth necessarily. I know you've had a lot of success buying cards that way too.
Yeah, and I can advise on one of the biggest mistakes I've made when doing that as well, because in years past, I would have a collection come in and we would sit here and we would calculate card after card after card after card, like, well, you know, this goes for this and this one goes for this, and you get to a point where you add up everything and you go, well, you know, resale is X, so I can offer 0.5X or 0.75X or whatever, you know, how you feel about it, how quickly the turn's going to be. But the problem is, and a lot of buyers make this mistake, is a lot of times when you're buying a large collection, you're probably never going to get to that last half of it. You're never going to get it resold because you're going to have bought another collection and you're focused on the top, the best stuff again. So you're constantly creating this backlog of stuff, which is fine, but you got to be careful when you're paying and calculating all of that. So, I mean, I don't mind sharing when a collection comes in, we segment what is the, you know, what is the key stuff, what's liquid, what has liquid value, meaning like there's definite demand for this on eBay. We can gauge market, we can see what the resale is, and we can make a fair offer based upon that. But, you know, I prefer to buy the whole thing, but I can't calculate value on the dollar cards because they may be sitting here 10 years from now. And so
and those can be very difficult to sell at any at any type of profit margin, because when you know, if you're going to go put those online anywhere, you're going to pay the fees, you know, you're going to the shipping. Like, it's not easy to sell a dollar card, you know, online, because it's not going to make sense for the buyer to pay shipping. Now there's ways to do it in lots or, you know, bulk or COMC or various ways, but very good point that often you can get sucked in on the less expensive cards, but then, you know, thinking through how would I actually move these, they may not actually have the value that the price guide, you know, would suggest that they have because of how difficult it can be to move them.
Right. I mean, I literally just this past Monday, I was at a gentleman's house and he had a large soccer collection, and we worked out a deal where he actually consigned us about 2,000 graded soccer cards that we're now starting to launch on eBay. But he also had several 4-0 boxes of singles he had bought. And so Austin, who's been on one of your other shows, you know, talking about soccer breaks and soccer industry, he's processing that collection for us right now. And he had 2 boxes full of like national treasures, autographs, patches, really nice stuff. And this was not all soccer, but he had some football and stuff and basketball as well, but the majority of it was soccer. But he had large quantities of low end, you know, $1, $2 rookies and stuff. It's like, those are great for long term, but it's hard to turn and do anything with those right now. So we have to weigh what is the meat of the collection, what's the potatoes, what can we actually turn into dollars right now, and what is just going to sit here. So we see that constantly, because most collections that come in, probably 90% of the stuff that comes in the door we're not interested in, because it's 80s and 90s cards. But for the collections that do come in, we have to segment. Just recently I bought a collection with a Jordan and Gretzky rookie, and those were the keys to the whole deal. And there were some other good cards, but that was the focus of the dollars put into the purchase, because that was where I knew those were liquid, could be turned, and so forth. So I advise buyers, whether you're at a show, whether you're buying from another collector, be careful about pricing yourself out.
Yeah.
Because if you figure every last card, all the way down to the dollar cards and stuff, you're buying stuff you may never get around to selling.
Yeah.
So you have to. What we do, we take a collection, we break it down and say, okay, we know we can put X dollars into this collection because we know we'll get this much return here. And I buy differently than some buyers, because I've talked to other shop owners. They say, well, we like to pay 50%, or we like to pay 60%, whatever that number is. I don't mind buying a collection and paying 100% of what I think we'll get back on the key cards.
Right.
So I try to find a win-win. Like, if my break even is this handful over here, and this is all free, even though it may not be a quick turn, I know I'm not losing anything when we're accumulating inventory.
Makes sense.
I have a warehouse full of millions of cards that are leftovers from collections.
Yeah.
So sometimes we will pay stronger, because as long as we know we've hit that break even and there's a lot left over.
Yeah, then you get a lot of, you're basically building your collection, your inventory for free that way.
Right.
By paying 100% for a couple cards and then getting the rest thrown into the deal.
Right.
Really interesting. And for those of you out there who are, kind of interested in this type of strategy, one way that I have found that can be a great way to go buy these type of big collections, these type of big lots, is to look on Facebook Marketplace. I don't know if you've ever looked there before.
Briefly, I've used Craigslist a lot.
Craigslist.
Found deals there.
Craigslist is probably another great source, for sure. Especially if you're near a big city like in Atlanta, if you open up Facebook Marketplace right now, there's no fewer than probably about 30 people at any one time that are selling big collections of cards, and some of them have them up there for really unreasonable prices, because they think, these things are worth a lot of money.
Right.
But some people have them up there, and it's literally like situations like I saw one the other day. Hey, my dad just passed away. I'm cleaning out his house. He's got, all of these cards in his, attic or basement or garage. Please come take all of them, and they just toss a price up there, not knowing at all what they're worth. And a lot of times they're actually very negotiable, because oftentimes it's more of I need someone to come take these because I'm trying to put the house on the market or something like that, rather than I care about, trying to get it, but every last dollar as to what this is worth.
Yeah, I've literally had people bring stuff in that they want to get rid of it.
Yep.
And a lot of times it's the 80s, 90s that we have millions of, and I've told them, like, we have, and they're like, well, it's staying here anyway, and they'll walk out the door and leave it, because they're like, we don't want to carry it again. And so, there are still, you'd be amazed, there's still a lot of opportunities out there.
Yep.
We bought a really nice collection earlier this year that had some vintage boxes and vintage autographs, and things do turn up. A few years ago, I had a gentleman walk in talking about something he inherited, came in with about 220 T206 tobacco cards.
Cool.
And his first question was, he just wanted to know, hey, are these even real?
Right.
So I was able to make his day and let him know not only were they real, but he had a lot of key cards. So he left with several $1,000s. So there are still some amazing collections out there. You just got to hunt them down.
It's fun. It's if that's your mentality, it's kind of that bargain garage show, pawn shop type hunting. One thing I love about the hobby and investing in sports cards, there's so many different approaches you can take. And the idea of, I can go bargain hunting, I can go look for vintage lots. It's essentially like treasure hunting.
Yeah.
And that's a completely fun approach, and it's a way you can actually make some money and have fun and go treasure hunting. Completely different approach than going on eBay and trying to buy 50 of a particular card that you're hunting. Totally different, totally different approach. But But that's one thing I love about it is there's so many different angles you can take. And if you can find your niche, something that works for you, that excites you, that makes you happy, and you can make some money off of it, what a great thing to be doing.
Yep.
Cool. We talked, anything else? We talked maybe a little bit about like buying collector to collector. We've talked a little bit about that, but any other tips or thoughts on, other kind of more untraditional ways to buy cards or buy collections?
Well, I'd say one other thing to be wary of is, especially when you're buying vintage, is you've got to be very careful about buying raw vintage stars, because there's so much, there is altered stuff out there, and you have to be very careful. And we just had a lady send in, there's a collection she inherited, sent in a number of mantles, and they had been trimmed or altered and so forth. And so very disappointed, and I don't know where those came from years ago, but so that's just a word of advice: be careful. I mean, that's why we always recommend buying PSA or Beckett or SGC graded cards when you're buying high dollar vintage.
Right.
You got to be very careful, and so we're always wary of that. When I bought the collection with Gretzky and Jordan, I had a comfort level because they were graded already. If they came in raw, I'd be like, are these counterfeit?
Yeah.
Because I've had counterfeit Gretzky's come in the door, I've had counterfeit Jordans come in the door. So you have to be very careful of that. One thing that we do, we actually, instead of just looking for the ads for things out there, is we run buy ads on those marketplaces. We run them in different places. We'll take out ads in local papers, buying collections. And we have had some success with that too. So it's kind of old school. We literally run classified ads sometimes in papers, and to get opportunities to buy collections. So there are old school ways to find things. But hit your local shows. Sometimes you have better luck buying from the your full-time sports card dealers. Who maybe have methods already put in place of how to maximize the resale of their cards, may not be the best ones to try to buy up in bulk from. It might be just your local collector who loves to open. And I had a customer who, from another state, but he just admitted to me, he goes, I just love opening packs. And he goes, I keep the really big stuff. And he goes, and I ship you all the rest. And you be fair with me. And so, he was not a dealer. He was just a collector who loved to open. And so sometimes those are the guys that you want to hunt down at the shows. Just the small time dealer who, likes to open and has a lot of inventory left over, and he's ready to turn it and move it. And so there's a lot of different strategies, but there are those again who you can pretty much tell by a booth setup. If all you see is high end cards and they're all priced individually, probably not the place you're gonna buy up a stack of cards at a 50% discount. But you go up to the booth with a lot of dollar boxes, throw boxes, or I set up by a gentleman at a Nashville show recently, and he literally would just set boxes out, nothing priced. But he was swamped all the time because people knew he would work with them, and they could just go pick up a handful of cards and make an offer. And so I was just like, seriously, you don't take the time to price your cards? But he was busier than we were because people knew he would work with them, and that he was there to unload cards. So you kind of have to, if you have a local show you attend, learn the dealers, learn which are the guys who are going to work with you, who are going to offer those kind of deals.
Joe, this has been great. I think the audience got, I'm sure, a lot out of this. Hopefully it's getting your brains turning out there in terms of ways you can buy cards untraditionally and seek out opportunities to make some profit from the hobby in a little bit of a different angle. Thanks for all of your insight and your experience. It's wonderful that you share this with our audience.
Sure thing.
Appreciate it, Joe.
Jeff.
All right, guys, I hope you enjoyed that interview with Joe. I thought there were some real gems in that interview, some real good ideas of ways that you can, whether you're going to go look for lots now on eBay, or go look for big collections you want to buy, or go look for complete sets, whatever it may be. We've given you a lot of different options on how you can, find cards you're going after, but find them in unexpected ways, and then perhaps pick up a bunch of extra cards to go along with the card you were trying to target for little to no additional money. So hopefully you got some really great takeaways, and I hope to see you at the card show that Joe Davis does. Again, gotbaseballcards.com is Joe's website. So check him out, check out his online store, check out his grading service, which is an amazing PSA grading service, cheaper than PSA and faster turnarounds than PSA. and check out his card show. That's going to be Saturday, February the 1st. I will be there from 8 a.m. to noon, and I hope to see you there. Again, go check out his website, gotbaseballcards.com. Folks, that's all I've got for you for today. As I mentioned at the beginning of the show, this will be my only show for this week as I am heads down working on my membership program and working on my digital tool, which is going to come out at the end of this month. Go take my survey on sportscardinvestor.com if you have not yet for a chance to win this Lonzo Ball PSA 10. Thanks, everybody. Have a wonderful week. See y'all again soon.